Welcome into the Jamey Chadwell Show. Kevin O'Rourke alongside Coach Chadwell as CSU gets set for an early start to Big South Conference play this Saturday at Monmouth. Bucks come off a loss at Florida State about a week and a half ago. We'll take a look at that game and preview the Monmouth game. But Coach, first, early conference game and early open week, which isn't something you're used to, but probably came at a good time, both ends for your team.
Yeah, it was a good time. We needed it physically, just for some bang up. We played some really good teams early, and then second, just some mental break from football. We needed to get away from that, and I know our guys were allowed to get away for a couple of days and I think refresh and re-energize, which was good. And then you mentioned the early game. When you play a conference game this early, we're usually not playing those up well until October. So having the open week and playing this game, that helps us, get a jump start on our opponent, which will be good. So hopefully going in there, you have a great idea of what you want to do to them and feel like that you at least have a jump start on them from that aspect.
Yeah, an open week before Monmouth last year too, bit of a different scenario coming off a win over the Citadel. But how do you structure that open week and balance it between improving and also getting a bit of a break?
Well, typically, you try to in a typical open week, you try to work on your things, but also go ahead and get a jump start on your opponent. This week was a little different just because of being banged up and some of the things that we did. We spent more time on ourselves. I say dabbled into Monmouth a little bit. We looked at them a little bit, but was more so us trying to work on the things that we need to improve and get ourselves healthy and sort of regroup, and then put all of our this week put all of our focus on Monmouth, which we've been doing.
Off from practice over the weekend, do you watch football or just kind of get away from it?
I'll try to keep up. I didn't watch a lot of it. You might watch it at night. You want to spend time with the family and do some things. I'll try to keep up with some scores, specifically FCS. You want to see if the other Big South teams or people you might play, what's going on. So I kept up a little bit, but not a lot.
Revisiting the Florida State game, a 52-8 final, a game that in the first half your defense made some plays, had them in a few third and longs, and had a chance to stick around early but didn't go your way.
Yeah, I was disappointed in some things that we can control that we didn't. Obviously they got a good club, but we had them in, I think, at least on the first two drives, 3 or 4 third and longs, and they were able to convert, which is something, I don't care who you're playing, the odds are in our favor of doing that. And then 2, we turned the ball over back-to-back plays, and actually were driving the ball and moving the ball. And so a lot of the things that happened in that game, we caused ourselves with some turnovers. I think we had 3 turnovers, had some missed plays, which might have not made a difference in the final outcome, but it could have made it where it was a closer game for a while and some things, and we could have built a little bit more confidence. So I was really disappointed, not in the effort, so to speak, because of what the situation we went down there in, but really just the way that we allowed some plays to happen that we've not done before. And so that frustrates you as a coach, no matter who you're playing.
A couple of things on both sides of the ball. Offensively, first, with 4 relatively inexperienced guys on the offensive line, to get almost 300 yards of total offense and do some positive things at times had to be pretty good to see.
Well, it was, those guys didn't listen to people outside the program and all this thing. They went out and played, and they made some mistakes, sure, but they really played hard and did some good stuff. And I thought overall we did have some things where we had some good plays made, had some people show up that maybe hadn't played a lot of football, some young running backs, and did some good things. And but what you're looking for is just consistency. Hey, you might get whipped physically, but are you doing what the play's called? Are you executing your assignment? And those are the things that you want to see continue to improve. But I was pleased with the way the guys went and battled and fought and tried to lay it out there on the line there, and I thought they did a good job of that. Now we just got to harness that same passion and then use it with discipline, and then we got something going.
At the quarterback spot, London Johnson got the start. Robert Mitchell played most of the way, first game in the CSU uniform for both those guys. What'd you see from them?
Well, I think London, I think the moment maybe got a little big for him. He played some of the previous week, did some good stuff, and he started out doing well, but just turning the ball over, was cautious with the football, and that's one thing that you can't do. So we decided to go with Robert, and since Robert missed his first opportunity for him playing, wanted to try to give him as many reps as possible. And I thought there were some things, he showed some of his ability that he has throwing it and running, but he obviously made mistakes, had a turnover, and some of his execution, just the assignments weren't where they need to be. It could have allowed us to have good plays, and they turned into negative. But I think the talent's there, but now we've got to harness that, and they've got to learn how to just make the consistent plays. I think at quarterback, if you're just consistent and make just the average, the layups, the easy plays, you got a chance to move the football. We're struggling with that right now, and we've got to get that fixed. And if we don't, we're going to be 0-1 this week.
Defensively, you mentioned the third and longs early in the game, but made some plays. You had 3 sacks, I think 8 or 9 tackles for loss. Solomon Brown, a guy who made a lot of plays really all over the field early, and Anthony disrupted up front too. A couple of guys showing that they kind of belong on that type of field to some extent.
I agree. Yeah, I think those guys, going against a big offensive line from an ACC, I thought they did some good stuff. Solomon, you mentioned specifically, Solomon played a really good game, and I think Anthony showed his type of ability. And there were times where we played some really good, consistent football, but when you have a breakdown against teams that are that good, that have that speed, it's going to show up. And we had a couple guys not blitz correctly at the right time, or not be in their deep half and do some things. And when you're playing, all ACC performers or 4 or 5 stars, their talent is that much better. You can't have those mistakes. And so those are things that you're disappointed in. Is just do what you coach to do, and if they're better, they're better. But when you don't do what you coach to do, you get frustrated no matter if somebody's better or somebody's not as good as you, because you're not taking what we're trying to do on the practice field, taking it to the game field. And so those are things that hopefully we corrected during this open week and on to this week.
Solomon Brown, a big part of a defensive effort that stifled Monmouth last year at home. We got a chance to catch up with him this week. You're watching the Jamey Chadwell Show.
Josh Miller enjoyed recruiting Solomon Brown as much as any player in his coaching career. The affable outside linebacker wasn't in a talking mood, however, when Charleston Southern decided to redshirt him in 2014.
He's a pretty competitive guy, and he didn't talk to me for like a good week, something like that. Just didn't. He was mad. You could tell it was bothering him. Just pride in knowing that he was a good player. But then once he got through that phase, he really embraced it and took it as a chance to go against the best that we had to offer on offense every day.
Brown proved more than capable as a scout team standout, and then emerged as one of the nation's top freshmen in 2015. 69 tackles, 12.5 for loss, 7 sacks, a pick 6, and lots of other big plays made Brown the Big South Freshman of the Year. Playing a central role in the Bucs' run to the conference title was worth the wait for the Central South Carolina native.
The redshirt year definitely slowed the game down. So things weren't going as fast when I was on the field. I could see it.
The coaches saw Brown's potential early, transitioning him to Bandit, a defensive end linebacker hybrid position in CSU's Blue Swarm defense. Brown's ability to add weight, 24 pounds worth of muscle, tenacity, and football acumen made him an ideal fit for the role.
You want a guy that's agile enough to be able to drop and make plays in space, but also durable enough, heavy enough to stand up to a 300-pound tackle, and it's a hard combination to find, but Solomon's just so good with his hands. That's his best attribute as far as physical tool. His mindset is outstanding. He's very competitive, very goal-oriented, so he has a lot of internal drive to be great.
Great would be an apt description for CSU's defense in 2015. The unit was arguably the best in Big South history, and Brown saved his biggest play for the Bucs' biggest game.
Definitely the Citadel in the playoffs when I just stripped the ball from the quarterback. I don't know what it was. It's just that whole moment just felt so slow. Like in my head, I can just still see it now. I think that moment definitely stands out. And just the excitement, how many fans were here, and it was just definitely in the atmosphere that day.
CSU's defense figures to have more big moments ahead, thanks in large part to the edge tandem of Brown and defensive end Anthony Ellis. Opposite Brown, Ellis piled up a Big South high 18 tackles for loss last year and was named this season's preseason conference defensive player of the year. Ellis might not have as much to say as Brown, but both enjoy forming one of the FCS's best defensive duos.
I might talk about it a little more than he does. But I think it's so fun because either you're going to block me and I'm going to help him get the tackles and the sacks, or you're going to try to block him and he's going to help me. We love playing with each other. I wouldn't want anybody else on that other side of me.
Brown landed at Charleston Southern in part because no one else recruited him with as much gusto. Playing in the shadows of Clemson at Daniel High School, Brown hoped to follow in his father's footsteps and play for the Tigers. Scholarship offers from Clemson and other FBS programs didn't come, but CSU pulled out all the stops to get Brown from the upstate to the low country, something that hasn't been lost on the applied mathematics major.
As far as Charleston Southern in my mind, it was like they made sure that they never left. Like, they would always message me. They would always come to the games, to my school when they could, talk to me, talk to my teachers. They just put so much work into me, like coming here. When I came on the official visit, it was just already set in my mind that I was coming. Because I said to myself, I was like, whoever can work so hard to get me to come to their school, the least I can do is work hard for them when I get here.
Brown has continued to shine this year. He played like he belonged at Florida State, notching 9 tackles, 3 for loss, and a sack against the nation's number 3 team. Brown and the Blue Swarm are hungry to go after the Big South again, beginning this Saturday at Monmouth.
I kind of hold myself to a high standard. I wanted to become an All-American hopefully at the end of this year, and I want to win the whole thing as a team, definitely.
Solomon Brown, 9 tackles, 3 tackles for loss against Florida State. And Jamey, he's a guy who last year really came on the scene in a big way.
He did. We felt like during his redshirt season, he was going to be a good player because he worked hard on scout team, and he was really thin and light, and he put a lot of work into changing his body. He obviously had a great year last year as a freshman, and he's not had any sophomore blues right now. He's very conscious, wants to be great in all that he does, and you're going to continue to see him, I think, be an excellent football player. With him and Anthony on both sides, they're a tough combo because who do you choose to double, in some of those things. And I think Solomon is really, in our mind, as he gets stronger, bigger, he's only scratched the surface how good he can be. He's got potential, I believe, to be, before he leaves here, an All-American type player.
Your defense has really dominated Monmouth the last 2 years. Seems like probably an improved Monmouth team this year, and really a team that improved last year too outside the game against you guys. When you've beaten a team like that 2 years in a row, do you expect to see a lot of different things from them, considering that?
Well, I'm sure people are going to try to maybe change the way they approach our defense. Maybe they want to do something different here or there. What we have had success from the last years, but a lot of those have been weather games too. So that's part of it. They throw the ball and do some things, and so the weather's not been conducive for them. It's supposed to be nice up in New Jersey this year, so I'm sure they're going to feel better about what they can do there. And so, but I'm sure there's going to be things that they want to try to do a little different. But you do what you do. You don't. Well, we're just going to change completely because of this team. We've struggled with them during this. You're going to find different plays or maybe different things, but you practice all year your basic plays to work against anything, and then you'll have little subtle adjustments. And so, but our defense. They've given a lot of people some problems. It's not just been them, and so. But I think the challenge more so is Monmouth's now they're playing 2 quarterbacks. They've got good skill receivers. If the running back plays, they've obviously got capable backups as well. But the running back's a game changer. They've got some skill to spread you out and do some things, and we've not seen that yet. Florida State's a pro team. Now they got speed obviously, but they're not a spread team. North Dakota State's not a spread team. So this will be a unique challenge because this is the first time we've seen this in this early in the year as well. So there's a lot of work that we've got to do to prepare for things that they do. So, but I'm sure there's going to be some subtle adjustments, but we expect them to do what they've been doing since he's been there.
First of 5 Big South games, you only get 5 chances this year with Coastal not being in the conference anymore. I mean, I think it's probably the same approach, but is there an extra sense of urgency considering that you don't really have much margin for error?
Well, I don't know if there's an extra sense. You're hoping that your team understands, hey, it's a conference. This is what this is. No matter what happens out of conference, this is what guarantees you a spot in the dance, or the playoffs. And so there should be a great focus and great energy. It is for coaches. You realize, if you lose one of these, especially early, there's not tons of games to make up. There's not tons. So it's important. It's imperative that you come up and play well and you get off to a great start. But that's any game. You know, when your regular season is as important as football's on your overall chances, every game there has to be an urgency. And you know, it's not like we've had 8 teams; we've only had 6, so it's just one less. You know, I mean, it's still challenging, but you know, you still got to take care of the business there. So it is what it is. You know, so we know how important, you know, this game is as far as the steps that we want to take as a team.
Maybe you'll have more in the future. Who knows? I heard
You know,
something about that.
there is, you know, eventually with the new partnership, which is a great thing. You know, there's going to be some new teams hopefully coming in the near future, and whenever that happens, we'll be looking forward to bringing them down to Charleston.
For you offensively going against their defense, what's the quarterback situation going in? How do you manage that in the game?
Well, you know, probably you're going to see all 3 play. We've not solidified a starter yet. I mean, because we've still got you know, a couple not completely healthy, trying to figure out who's going to be the most healthy going in, and then we'll probably have a package for all and sort of see how the game goes, see how people see how they're playing us and which guy fits best to what they're trying to do to us. And then see who can help us be consistent and move the ball and, you know, score. You know, as long as don't turn it over and score points. We feel like they've had solid practices these last couple of weeks, which has been good. But you know, it's still inexperience, and you're going in a conference game on a road opener. There's a challenge to that. So we've got to make sure we do a good job in the other areas, running back, tight end, offensive line, of doing our job and not making it harder on the quarterbacks. If we'll do what they're capable of, then it makes the game easier. If everybody's getting whipped and all those things and that quarterback looks like he's throwing out of a well, then we're in trouble.
So Charleston Southern and Monmouth, Big South Conference opener Saturday. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff up in New Jersey, and you can watch it on ESPN3. For Jamey Chadwell, my name is Kevin O'Rourke. Thanks for watching the Jamey Chadwell Show.